That's legally, yes.
Thank you. After you dumped out her purse on the counter, you looked through her wallet, right?
Yes.
And you found an ID.
Yes.
And what did the ID say? What state was she from? Do you remember?
Minnesota?
You're right. You said that on video, that she's from Minnesota. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. And so you knew who she was at that point, right?
Yes.
Why couldn't you let her go then?
Because at that point, the chief judge had already told me to bring her in front of Judge Felice.
Well, then why didn't you just look through her purse and find her ID before calling the chief judge?
If she would have cooperated, that's exactly what we would have done.
I don't understand. You told her repeatedly that she could simply give you her ID and she would be on her way, right?
Earlier in the incident, yes.
Okay, so what was the need to bring her to the judge?
Once I contacted the presiding judge's office, I was told to bring her in front of Judge Felice.
Why did you contact the presiding judge's office?
For guidance on how to handle the situation.
You knew exactly how to handle the situation. You're allowed to detain people and search them and look through their purses if they're acting suspicious, right? Wasn't that your testimony?
Yes.
So you knew exactly how to handle this. Search her, look through her purse, get her ID. Now you can do your report, let her be on her way. Why didn't you do that?
Because I had already contacted the presiding judge's office for advice, and that's what I was told.
Why did you contact the presiding judge? Why didn't you just look through her purse, get her ID, write it down, take a picture of it, photocopy it, and then let her be on her way?
Because as far as I know, she was violating a judicial order which came from the presiding judge.
So you had to bring her to the judge because of what she was doing outside, right?
I was told to bring her in front of the judge, yes.
Did you hear what I said? You had to bring her in front of the judge because of what she was doing outside, right?
I was told to bring her in front of the judge because of what she was doing outside.
You were told that after you called the presiding judge.
Yes.
Do you see how there's something in between that? She's doing something outside, you take her to the presiding judge. In between that, you called the presiding judge, right?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you call the presiding judge?
I needed some type of more or less for advice on how to handle it.
Yeah, but before you called the presiding judge, all you needed was her ID, right?
Correct.
And then you were going to let her go, weren't you?
Correct.
So if all you needed was her ID and then you could let her go, why call the presiding judge? Why not just look through her purse, get her ID, and then let her be on her way?
Because I had already contacted the presiding judge.
Why did you call the presiding judge?
To get advice on how to handle the situation.
We're going in circles here,
Exactly.
and I'm not understanding what your testimony is. You were willing to let her go if you only had her ID, right?
Yes.
Without bringing her in front of the judge, right?
Correct.
Even though she was videoing outside, right?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you call the presiding judge?
Again, I had already called the presiding judge for information on how to handle it, and I was informed to bring her in front of Judge Felice.
Were you lying to her when you told her that all she has to do is give you your ID and you'll let her be on her way? Was that a lie?
That was earlier in the situation, yes.
Was it really? Was it really? Was it really?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you didn't say that to her after contacting the presiding judge?
I don't recall.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. When Larson was with Ms. Bergquist by the counter and you went into your office for, 5-10 minutes, that's when you called the presiding judge, right?
Yes.
Then when you came back out, that's after you had already talked to the presiding judge, right? Or the judge's clerk, right?
Yes.
And that's when the judge's clerk or assistant told you to bring Ms. Bergquist in front of Judge Peter Felice, right?
No, I don't think they did it right away. I think they called me back.
Got you. Okay. When you looked through her purse, was that before or after you were told to bring her to the judge?
Before.
Oh, so after you searched her purse and you had her ID, you had not yet been told by the judge to bring her in front of the judge, right?
No, I had already contacted the presiding judge, and they didn't give me an answer till afterwards.
Okay, but right before you searched her purse, you told her that if she gives you her ID, you'll let her go. Do you remember that?
I don't recall when that happened.
Do you dispute that?
I don't dispute that I said that. I just don't recall when it happened in the time frame.
How would you explain that? Were you lying to her?
About?
If you were not yet told by the judge, if I understand your testimony correctly, until you were told to bring her in front of Judge Peter Felice, you were willing to let her go if she showed you ID, right?
Correct.
Okay. What I'm asking you is, when you looked through her purse and saw her ID, your testimony before was by then the judge had already told you to bring her in front of Judge Peter Felice, right?
I don't recall exact time frame on that.
Okay, well, it's very, very important for us to know this, because what I'm trying to figure out is why you had to bring her in front of the judge. And your testimony was that you were ordered to, right? Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out here is, this escalated, didn't it?
Correct.
We started with, show me your ID and I'll let you go.
Correct.
And it ended with, even if you show me your ID, I'm taking you to the judge, right?
At that point, it was out of my hands, yes.
It was out of your hands because you were already instructed to bring her to the judge, right?
Yes.
What I'm asking you is, after receiving that instruction to bring her to the judge, that option for her to just show you ID and walk away was no longer on the table, right?
Correct.
Okay. When you looked through her purse and saw her ID, was that option still on the table, that she could just show you ID and leave?
I don't recall.
Well, it had to have been after, right?
Again, I don't recall the time frame on it.
But if you saw her ID, why didn't you let her go? Was it out of your hands already?
I had already made the call to the presiding judge, yes.
Were you instructed? You said they called you back.
They did call me back.
Right. But before they called you back, you were ready to let her go, but just by showing you ID, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before they made that call back, all she had to do was show you ID and be on her way, right?
It was a short time frame. I don't recall.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you told her just show us ID and you'll be on your way, were you lying to her?
No.
Okay, so every time that you told her just show her your ID and you'll be on your way, you were being truthful, right?
Yes.
Okay. And obviously every time you said that to her, it was before you were instructed to bring her to the judge, right?
I don't recall.
Well, would you have said that after being instructed to bring her to the judge? Would you have given her the option to just show you ID and be on her way after being instructed to bring her to the judge?
No.
Okay. So is it fair to say that your testimony today is that every time you offered that option to her was before you were instructed to bring her to the judge?
True.
Well, I mean, isn't that your story?
As far as I recall, yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand this. You give her the option, show us your ID, and you can be on your merry way. Obviously, when you gave her that option, it was before you were instructed to bring her to the judge. Isn't that what we just established?
Yes.
Okay. So when you looked through her purse and saw her ID, your testimony before, and correct me if I'm wrong, was now it's too late because you already have to bring her to the judge because you were instructed to do so, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just so that we're crystal clear about this, you gave her the option, show us your ID, you'll be on your merry way. She said no. You get the call, bring her up, and at some point after that is when you saw her ID, right?
Correct.
Let's take a break.
Going off record at 12:46 p.m. We're going back on the record at 12:59 p.m.
The other officers who were involved in this, Larson, Barbaro, somebody else whose name escapes me, but is Dorociak, D-O-R-O-C-I-A-K. They're all your subordinates, right?
Yes.
They have to listen to you.
Yes.
if they would have